So the first step to threading your machine is actually getting everything on your machine in position. So the first thing we need to get in position is the presser foot. Now this is the presser foot down here, and if you're not sure how to move it, all you need to do is reach to the back of your machine for this little lever, go this way, and you're just going to press it down, bring it to the down position, but for threading, we actually want it in the up position. I'm going to flip it back up, okay? So now it's in the up position. The other thing we need to check is the needle, okay? So we're going to move the needle by using the hand wheel here on the side. And as I turn this, I'm going to turn it towards the front of the machine. And you always want to turn it towards the front of the machine, not towards the back. It's better for your machine. If you do turn it the other way, it's not going to be a huge deal, but just try to remember to always turn it to the front, okay? So as I move it to the front, you'll see that my needle's moving, okay? And the other thing you'll notice that's moving is this little silver piece up here. Now, you probably don't know what this is yet, but I'm going to talk more about it when we start actually threading the machine. And again, when we talk about tension. So just keep in mind that we're watching it right now as we move the needle using the hand wheel, okay? So we're going to move our needle down and then bring it up to its highest position, okay? That's about the highest it wants to go. And when I keep turning it, you'll notice the needle starts moving down. And you'll notice that this actually moved up. And it's sitting really high right now on my machine. Now if I keep spinning, keep your eye here, you'll see that it starts falling, okay? And this goes down, and so is the needle. What we want to do is move our needle to the highest position and then keep spinning just slowly until the needle starts going down just a little bit, and we see this silver piece reach its highest position, okay? Now, if this is your first time threading your machine, getting these lined up might take a little bit. So don't worry if you have to turn this a lot to finally get everything where you want it. It takes a little getting used to. But once you see everything's lined up, we're gonna go ahead and start threading. So to start threading your machine, we're gonna start on the top, okay? And you're going to grab your spool of thread. Now, the first thing you want to do is check to see if you have any notches on the top caps of your spool. Now, these notches are usually used to like pull the thread and hold it in position while you're storing it. But your thread, when you're running your machine and sewing, can actually get caught in those notches, and you don't want that. So check to see if you have any notches, and if you do, so let's say I found one here, then what you want to do is take this side with the notch and put it on first, okay? Now, if you don't have any notches, you can put this whichever direction you want, okay? No problems. But you always want your notch to be on this side if you have one. That way, when the thread comes off this direction, it doesn't get caught on that notch and mess up your sewing machine, okay? So once you have your spool of thread on the spool pin, you need to put on a little stopper, and there are different sizes of these. You can try different ones and see if they help your machine run more smoothly, but I just picked this one at random and I've never had any problems with it, so I just use this one all the time. So you'll put this on next, and what this does is it keeps the thread from falling off, okay? Because when you start sewing, it's going to pull thread off of here, and it makes this bounce around. And without this, this can bounce and bounce and bounce and eventually fall off. And we don't want that. So thread on, then put it on our spool stopper, okay? Now, once we have these two things in, we're going to move this direction. So let's zoom in here. So now you're going to grab your thread and you're going to pull it this direction. On the top of your machine, you're going to see these numbered arrows. The dashed ones are typically for threading the bobbin. And if you need help with that, check the description. I have a link on a video on how to wind your bobbin. But for threading the top of your sewing machine, we're actually going to follow the dark solid lines, okay? So we can see number 1 goes through this little silver piece, and this is just a thread guide. So it's typically a hook. So if I grab my thread and I put it on the back here and I push it forward, you'll hear it click into that little hook, okay? Yours might be slightly different, but you're gonna put it through this first guide, okay? So we have this piece of metal here at number 2, and it looks kind of like in the shape of a boomerang, like here's half of it and the other half's going down into the machine. What I wanna do is go under this boomerang or hook, okay? So I'm gonna grab my thread, I'm gonna pull it under that, and you can see here I have this little piece of metal. You can hear it kind of clinking. I actually want to go behind that. I'm gonna lift my thread up and come down so my thread goes right behind it, okay? And you can actually see it in my manual picture right here. So now I have this looking just like the manual. I'm gonna come forward and go right through this cutout in my machine. And it looks a bit easier from the top. So now when I pull it forward, I can see that it's going through 1 and caught around 2, and now I'm gonna come forward on my machine. So here's number 3. So we're just gonna follow this cut all the way down the front of the machine, okay? And then you can see number 4 here is this U-turn hook. So we're just gonna come under this and come right back up, okay? Just make sure that your thread actually makes it under this, because you can see my thread isn't just doing this, which would be wrong. It actually is caught underneath this number 4, okay? Then from here, we go all the way up to number 5. So now we're coming back up to 5, and you can see I have this big gap right here, this big cutout. So again, coming up the left side, now I'm going to keep pulling my thread towards the back of the machine and just shift it over to the right side, then pull forward, okay? Now when I pull on the thread, okay, you can see it's stuck, it's pivoting right around here. So I've gotten it nice and around this tension lever, okay? That's what this is. It helps to set the tension for your thread. So you want to make sure that you get it around that. Okay, so now that we've made it around 5, we're just going to come down the front of the machine in this cut this time, all the way down here to 6. So all the way down. And now we're ready to thread the needle down here. So now when we come down, we see number 6 here, and I want us to keep continuing down to the needle. Now, right back here is a little bar, and we want to put our thread behind that. And the easiest way to do it is to grab your thread with 2 hands, turn it sideways like this, and then take one hand and push it towards the back. So now I've gotten it behind that bar. When I try to pull it forward, it's back behind it, okay? So once the thread is behind that bar, the last thing we need to do is thread the needle. So you can take your thread and manually put it through the eye of the needle. That's one option. That would go like this. Okay. So it would go like that. That is quite tricky. Or it can be, and it's kind of hard to see. So another option, if you get a machine that has it, is, if I pull this out again, is what's called an automatic needle threader. And it's this little white piece. Now, before we even mess with this, we need to check the position of our needle. In order to use the automatic needle threader, the needle needs to be in its highest position. So you can check that by using the hand crank on the side. So I'm going to move mine and see if, okay, so that's the highest position for my needle, okay? So once you have your needle in its highest position, you can grab this handle and pull down, okay? It's got this nice flat surface on top, push it down. And you can see that this plastic handle is also connected to this silver rod in the back, this whole chunk, and they all move together. So as I pull this down, you'll see that it starts to spin, that back section, okay? And that's what we want. We want this chunk to come up and surround our needle, okay? So what's actually happening is you have these arms on either side of the needle, and between these arms is a tiny little hook. And that hook is what's going to pull our thread through the eye of the needle. So as I pull this down, it's fully in position when these arms are around the needle. Then I take my thread and I wrap it around this little silver arm on the automatic needle threader, okay? Once I pull it around there, I just pull my thread right in between these arms that are on here. Now when I pull forward, you see there's tension on my thread. That means I know that the hook has caught my thread, okay? If it hadn't, it would come out like this, okay? Now it's not caught anymore. But if I pull it in there, I can feel it now. It's gotten caught on the hook. Now, what I'm going to do is release this and my thread at the same time, okay? And now you can see this little loop that's come back out of the needle, okay? So I'm just going to grab that loop and pull it, and you can see now that my needle is threaded. Nifty.